Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Friday. I know somebody's really excited about that. So big up to you. Hope it's all that you've been anticipating all week. It is November 10th. One last thank you to all those that wished my son a happy birthday, a happy 8th birthday to be exact, and sent gifts and well wishes and prayers and good energy. Send it right back to you. So thank you so very much. It is so appreciated. Second, I have to be clear to make this announcement before every video from now until tomorrow, because the subscriber giveaway is underway. The contest is underway. What I didn't think to do before the last video, but I have since done it now, is post the link for the actual contest video in the description, and I think I also posted it as a comment. So you can look for that on this video as well. That will be much more clear about, first of all, the question to answer. If you don't necessarily want to go through that whole video, which I think you should, because it gives you the details of the prize that you can expect to win. But it also details the question at hand. So check it out in the description below or in the comments below, and follow that link over to the contest announcement video to actually participate. And by participate, you can not only just answer the question if you wish to have a chance to win the prize, but you can also weigh in on your selection of what you connect to as one of the best answer. Like if you see an answer that particularly intrigues you or inspires you, then by all means definitely hit that thumbs up on that button, and that will also help in how I engage the decision, okay? So thank you for those that have. I actually haven't checked it yet. I will today, but I haven't even gone back to that video. It was a long day yesterday, and then believe it or not, it was a long night in some regard. Kinda, not really for me. It was better for me than it was for my neighbors, because they were fighting, screaming literally all night long downstairs. So there was a little bit of a disturbance, but take that as it resonates into this message if it does, because it was quite an intense energy to experience. So as I've said before, some karmic issues are definitely coming to a conclusion, to a head. It was like fight to the death, like gladiator style, and then he didn't go anywhere. So there's that. People are still willing to be stuck in their toxicity and trauma for whatever that's worth. In some regards, but I hope that that's not you, and I actually hope that that's not this reading. So just putting that out there. That is a thing. I don't say anything for no reason, but let's see where the message goes today, okay? Ooh, 10 of Pentacles. I like that. I like the start of that. Generational wealth, exuberance of a material harvest. This can also be a multitude of gifts. It can be inheritance or some estate or legacy being passed down onto the next generation. Also generational wealth, not just the material sense, but the energetic sense, the time as well. Having the, when we clear up karma in this life cycle, it adds quantity and quality to our life experience. When you can get over some of the hurdles that have been more or less ordained, and in some regards, some we took on some burdens and struggles that weren't for us to break, but we did it anyway, right? And when you can do that, you gain an extension on your life expectancy, and also on the experience, the expectancy of your sensational experience. So you clear up some things, and then you pretty much you ready yourself, you render yourself a receptor for perhaps gifts and finances and experiences, and I don't even know, like it's so much wrapped up in the Ten of Pentacles. It's not just material, it's just a holistic experience where you are now the like literally the beneficiary of a multitude of blessings. And it can come in so many different ways, but it's on account of what you have ultimately positioned yourself to receive. Like you are the chosen ancestor, so to speak, to be the inhabitor of things that perhaps have been stored up, if not for generations, maybe even perhaps for lifetimes, and dimensions known and unknown. Like you have no, you couldn't even idealize the magnitude of blessings that are being poured into your life just on account of you making wise decisions within your own. It opens up the door for so much to more or less reconcile the past and the ancestral experience of the past, and also to create a sustainable life, more than sustainable, with the Ten of Pentacles. Like I said, exuberant life now, nothing to be desired, and also for you to fortify the future for generations to come. So it's like trifold. It's an amazing card. It really and truly is. And that we're starting there is a good sign. There's something that you've done in this lifetime that has given you, perhaps overcoming some demonic force that's positioned you for the favor. Ooh, and now we got the Ten of Cups. So this is about to be a surprise. It's going to be sudden, the release of this, and it's not only going to be sudden, but it's also going to be more than what was expected. So you may think that you're just due, like I said, to receive a material advancement. Perhaps you've even been working on something and you have an expectation for it to do well, for it to be prosperous, for it to be successful. But it's, like I was saying, it's like your scope of even that expectation based on what you've been investing is about to be superseded, because now here comes the Ten of Cups. So this is beyond the material, beyond the tangible, beyond the physical. This is now energetic and spiritual inheritance. More than inheritance, because how can I say this? There's another word that I want to use other than inheritance, because inheritance has a certain connotation, which is definitely admissible here, whereas someone more or less had to die. Someone has passed on something to you. There's that. But there's something to be said about what is just due to you in the present tense, that is solely released on account of what you have done in this lifetime. Not just you consider like the beneficiary of an inheritance. That's somebody else's money, somebody else's gift, somebody else's property, and that they just singled you out or chose you, or however you became the next in line. That's what it was. I feel like this Ten of Cups is like added sauce, like it's the extra sauce, back to what I was saying, where it was like there were some things that you undoubtedly incurred that were of yours to overcome, and then there were some things that you probably weren't necessarily supposed to, but you did it anyway. Like you took on there were some, because just as much as the blessings and gifts of our ancestral lineage are passed down, so are the burdens and the struggle, and that they don't necessarily belong to us in this present breath of life, but somehow it's like heavy is the head that wears the crown. And if you're going to be the beneficiary of the blessings, you kind of also got to be a breaker of the burdens, you know? So that's probably what I mean in saying that some was for you, some wasn't, some was your responsibility, some was not, but it was for you to clear it all, as much of it as you could, to ultimately receive the fullness of the gift, you know, of the, damn, I wish I could really say that we're something better. It's different than inheritance, but we're going to keep going. So the tower here is just like a sudden change. It's a shake up. It's clearing the foundation. Maybe this is something that's already happened, or this is the breaking of, I just heard breaking of the yoke. That's deep. Maybe that's what you did. You broke a yoke off of your generation. You know, something that people before you, the bloodline that you come from, has been struggling with for years, if not generations. And you were able to somehow shift that paradigm so that it didn't continue on with you. It stopped with you in some regard. It could be that, but it could also be some sudden influx of wealth and prosperity and just an enhancement in the experience of life that, as I said, you just haven't been expecting, and not in the way that it's coming in. But this tower is never lost on me. It doesn't feel negative though, or maybe it is for some, but it doesn't feel negative. And when we start with the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups, that's like favor, that's love, light, and luxury. You know what I mean? Like, it really shouldn't be. Yeah, that's the truth. It's some. Here's the ancestral energy here. Here's the 10 of Cups peeking out again. I see the Queen of Wands peeking out, looking at the 10 of Cups. That's a powerful sign that you are in the position of power to create with whatever is like, it's for you, you know, like you're the holder of the baton. The baton's been passed on to you from the ancestors. Look at the exchange there. And there were many ways in which you were blocked from receiving this passing down, this I don't know, this deliverance. Ooh, and that's deep. Like you delivered your bloodline from a cycle of burden, you know, almost single-handedly. Because sometimes I see this two of swords as a warrior, and she don't even realize it because she's blindfolded and she's just really just intentional about defending herself. But little did you know, you were defending your entire legacy just by way of your intentions to make powerful choices for yourself. And sometimes I'm getting the sense that, especially with the ancestral presence here with the Hermit card, you didn't even know how you were being guided, you know, to that some of the decisions that were being made were, or even in the same regard, in the ways that you were resistant to one position or another. You were indifferent. I'm hearing that as well. That spirit of indifference in one regard may have also been a saving grace, to not act impulsively, to not respond without more information, to just be still and wait to be guided here with the Hermit card, wait to be spoken to, waiting for a direction to come through that inner compass, even when you had to have your defenses up and be ready for war at any given time, you know, but still not even having all the, like having the visual intel to see who the enemy was or where the enemy was coming from. It was like having the deference and spirit to allow that ancestral plane, angelic realms, that supreme source of all that works within you to guide steps when you didn't even know what you were facing, quite honestly. You had no idea in some regard. And what were you protecting all along? But the family legacy, the inheritance, the gifts, the blessing of the generations. It was always safe and secure with you. your ancestors bet on you to be able to keep it safe and secure, but it wasn't without facing great obstacles and adversity along the way, having several uprooting moments and tower moments, sudden occurrences that either kept you from moving into the fullness of your readiness to receive this gift, because you had to be a vibrational match for it, or delaying the transfer. There it is, like a transfer of energy is what it was. The gifts, the money, the power, the proprietorship, the governing of your estate. It was already due to you, but there were interferences along the way that kept that truth from connecting rightfully, or being the clarity and truth of whatever this, situation was, from being experienced in totality, or being revealed. A lot of hidden information, you know what I mean, that had to be dug out from a spiritual essence, like someone that literally had to go within to find the truth of themselves, because it wasn't going to be uncovered otherwise, especially from the projection and interference around them, to really find the true value and essence of themselves, not just what they had come from, but what they were chosen to inhabit themselves, and not even just that, but also what they had been ordained, or you, whomever, have been ordained to recreate that Queen of Wands energy here, what you have been ordained to recreate within your own capacity. That's what it is, like your own flare of consciousness and power and passion, not just like, oh, I inherited the family business and now I have to do it this way. It's like you getting all of the resources left behind from your dynasty or legacy, but still being empowered to do it your way too, to add your spin to it, to maybe enhance the business or take it in a completely different direction. I'm speaking business because of the Pentacle energy, but it could be gifts and abilities that have been, that, maybe ancestors didn't even truly fully connect to, because I'm gonna just go out on a limb when we're talking about spiritual powers before this time, and even still in some regards in this time, a lot of ancestors who had supreme super abilities and gifts had to be very covert with their energy, because the spirit of the time didn't allow them to just exhibit who they were freely, whether it was societal resistance, it not fitting in with the norms and conformities of what is normal, what is natural, all that, or was it within the family not being understood or being admonished for expressing themselves a certain way, for exhibiting certain traits and capabilities. Plainly put, say you come up in a Christian home or a highly religious home in some regard, and some aspect of your creativity seems to go against the grain of the conventions of that establishment, you might be admonished as demonic, or made to feel like you don't fit in, like black sheep type of energy, ultimately, put it plainly. A lot of ancestors that held these super capabilities had to keep them very close to their being, or run the risk of being resisted or completely, exterminated altogether, like eliminated from the bloodline, whether it be from the projection of jealous relatives or other relatives that were just in fear from their own condition, and that the sheer presence of something out of the box could be, how can I say it, could like bring about bad energy, like it's considered a religious example I just gave, like someone that grows up in a very religious lineage and family, there's certain things you just don't do. And so for you to do a certain thing outside of that box, it could almost send your ancestors or whomever is even most intimate within your surroundings, or not establishment, but connection, into a frenzy, like, oh my God, they'll start exercising the demons in you and baptizing you every week, and or finding ways to suppress your gifts by methods of guilt and shame, and just rejecting you altogether, that you don't even have a place within this established, experience of family, because you do something outside of the ordinance of it, or at least from what the ordinance that has been established more conventionally. So now that's the energy. You could take that on the intimate scale, but it can also be more grand than that, like more general and perhaps even universal with society, where there's certain differences about people that are resisted just by way of your choices. Hell, your own sexuality, can cause an uproar, and has been doing so even now today. There's resistance to what you choose to do just in your natural waking life, let alone something on a more fantastical, supernatural, dare I say, mystical, by mystical measures, So there's still that same resistance there that exists, but I feel the difference that's being exhibited here is the support from, like I said, it's not just what was passed down to you, because now you embody the gifts of your ancestors, of those that can pass it down and pass it through you. It could even be talents, like raw talent, sing, write, dance, act, things that have been lying dormant in the bloodline for a long time, may have even gotten lost in the shuffle of being passed down, because there wasn't someone that was ready and willing and available to receive it all and to actually put it into use, let alone to actually protect it and produce it in a way that's prosperous. That energy doesn't die. It continues to flow through the bloodline over and over again until it finds a space, a frequency that it can resonate on. It's the same when we're talking about practical gifts and talents as it is when we're talking about spiritual gifts and talents. It's still there. It just needs a place to land. And that's how this energy has become the champion for the family in some regard, for the legacy, for the dynasty, because whatever it is that she was willing to break off of her energy, her own resistances, fighting against the admonishment of her own choices, fighting against society's pushback, and breaking out of the mold of what is acceptable and what's understood to be traditional and conventional, pushing back on that containment, pushing out of it, breaking out of it altogether, is the only vibration truly that can really can be a true container for creative consciousness on a level such as this. The 10 of Pentacles, the 10 of Cups, spirit and the truth of the matter of magic, that's just the word that comes up, manifestation magic, if you want to put a tag on it, if magic's too fantastical, but it's being able to literally bring things to life with what you've been given, what's been passed down to you, and also what you came here with, your own natural gifts and abilities. Putting all of it together is no small feat, because there's so much that you have to break through in your present life. That's the ending of karmic cycles, to get through the illusion of life as it is for you, first and foremost, to be able to then even receive all that's been held up. You know what I mean? It's like the ancestors sitting on the sidelines just waiting, like double dutch, just waiting to jump in, like jump into your consciousness, jump into your creativity, give you downloads, give you information, give you their inheritances, what they kept to the side for such a time as this, for someone that could actually do well with it, not just squander it, not be too afraid to put it to work or to wear it proudly, not afraid of, being revered as someone being rejected, and so in a myriad of ways that I've already talked about. It needed to be someone courageous, such as the Queen of Wands, that would operate in integrity and honor and truth, because that's also the key. There has to be that frequency there for there to be a true connection, and they were searching for it, and not many were planning to be the beneficiaries. Literally, here I see this card a lot. It's people trying to switch documents or forge accounts and signatures, or lay claim to things that they just haven't been chosen to have. So there are people even within the family that tried to block the reception of this passed down, and more or less like hijack it for themselves. They want to be the ones. They want to be the chosen ones. They want to hold the power. They want the property. They want the accounts. They want the resources. They want the gifts. They want the attention, the fame, the whatever their personal gratifications were. It wasn't pure, and so that's why the ancestors were looking for that pure form of power, that pure source, the one that was willing to listen when they couldn't see or when they didn't know any better, the one that was willing to take that intel. That was the first test and trial of the transfer. Would you be willing to hear and see the inaudible and the invisible for the promise of something that ultimately is intangible to you, because it doesn't exist in the material form yet? Like what the test of your faith ultimately in a single solitary expression is what was necessary in order to be deemed worthy to receive this great blessing. Many were called, as a matter of fact, but not many were chosen. Not nearly as many that were called were able to be chosen, for the fact that they weren't willing to break those burdens and those chains and cycles on their own life in this breath of existence, let alone prepare themselves, position themselves to receive that of what doesn't belong to you. Can you imagine? It's like you this is probably a real diabolical example, but I'm gonna go with it. It's like you given a life sentence, right? Now a life sentence more or less I think is what, like 20 years or 15 to 30, something like that. It's not actually the rest of your life from what my understanding, unless of course they heap it on you, but that's exactly my point. You get a life sentence, you're fairly young. So unfortunately 30 years is not the greatest outlook. However, you can do that and still have time after, to come out and do something with your own life and do something with your freedom, I should say. So you have that one sentence, but imagine you get hit with your life sentence, but now 1 and 2 tagged on to that for something that you didn't even do. That's a little bit harder of a punishment to deal with, to face, because it's like, well, I didn't even do all that, so why do I have to pay for that? That wasn't my work. That was X, Y, and Z. I want to do my time and get in and get out, and that's it. In some great regard, in order for you to come out fully liberated, that choice wasn't really there, for at least for those that were chosen to carry the torch in some very super way for the bloodline. Everybody probably didn't have that charge, and those are probably the ones that were trying to get in on the goods unjustifiably. But if you had that charge where it's like, not only do you have to do your life sentence, but you also got to do the time for the crime of your ancestors past. Crime I use very loosely, very, gingerly. Not to say there were actual crimes, but in some regards there were. There were missteps that happened in previous lives because, as I said, the circumstances were different. ancestors that may have been faced in their lifetime to be bold and courageous and to just operate in the fullness of their supreme spiritual force may have they may have relented to the resistance much more than you were willing to in this lifetime, because the stakes were different then. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Consider slavery during that time and the repercussions that you might face for running away or bucking against the system, no pun intended, to now if somebody tried to enslave you, it's like, what? I ain't picking no cotton, like type of thing, you know. It'd be a harder break from one generation to the next. So you got to let it be what it is. But the fact of the matter is that in every lifetime, we all have choices. Just like people got really upset with Kanye, but I understood what Kanye was saying, that slavery was a choice because there could always have been a choice to have the adverse, which would have perhaps been the repercussions, the death, the chance that would have been taken to have freedom over captivity. You know what I mean? There's always a choice. There always is. It doesn't mean that it's a good choice. It doesn't mean that it won't cost you your life, or it might not be a sacrifice in some great regard, but there is always a choice, you know? And a lot of the conditioning that has happened over the generations is to steal that very power from you, because that's that's the highest power that we have, is to know that we are in control of what we choose to be, do, and have. Ultimately, even if someone is saying that this is your last resort, you still have the right to say, well, no thank you. You know, like, this is the key to your liberation, or this is the key to your vitality, your this is what will save your life, i.e. something as simple as the vaccine. You know, like, you gotta take this or lose your job. Some people said, well, you know what, I'll lose my job, I'll find employment elsewhere. You know, some people said, well, I need the work, I gotta pay the bills, and that was the choice that they made. So everything is a choice, no matter what. So like I said, there were choices that were offered even within lifetimes past or generations past, and they made theirs accordingly. Now, knowing all that they know from the celestial plane, from the ancestral realms, from the angelic realms, or wherever they seek from, because I don't really know. You know, all I know is the presence is definitely here, because I can feel it. But wherever their origins are, they have a greater perspective of consciousness to now know all that they've experienced, and now have even the foresight and insight to see what you're experiencing. And it's like that hermit card trying to lead and guide you, you know, shave the learning curve in some regard, so that you don't have to go through the same resistances unknowingly, that you don't fall short to the same resistances that they did, that you can actually break the mold, break the chain. The illusion only shifts form according to the times, but it still carries the same charge to keep you from being sovereign in your own spiritual truth. That's the same charge no matter what decade, dimension, century, timeline, culture. Is all to separate you from making wise decisions, empowered decisions for yourself. And when you are open, that two of swords card, to keep you from making a decision, keep you at a crossroad even within your own self, dismissed from the truth, disconnected from the truth. So again, you go through your life cycle, your life sentence, clearing out what you can, doing what you can for yourself. Only a few valiant warriors are able to do that, not only for themselves, but for generations past. And that's what renders them the ultimate, you know, receiver of the inheritances, because they were willing to do more, not just for themselves, but for the sake of the past, present, and the future. Not everybody was willing to do that. So it's only justifiable that the one that put in the work is the one that receives the blessing, you know? So yeah, that was the heartbreak card. That was fear, pain, all of that toxicity and trauma from the past, like carrying it for everybody and laying it to rest. Not everybody was willing to do that. They're like, I'll live my own life. I'll do it for me, but I don't know them. Like, you know, so if this is you, you have definitely surmounted a great feat. You know, you definitely have. You restored truth, liberty, clarity into your bloodline. Something that had been lost before. A lot of people have been at a crossroads, and that Two of Swords just only willing to be guided in the ways that are conventional, that are acceptable, too afraid to make a decision outside of the box for fear of what it might, for fear of what it might entail or how they might be impelled, you know. But not you, not you. You accepted the challenge and the charge, and you carried it out victoriously. All right, let's see. What else we got? Anything else? My incense is down. I've been doing a lot of talking. All right. A few more, Spirit, if you will. Empress. Hierophant. Emperor. Look at this. Like, what? Whether masculine or feminine, you've been deemed the sole proprietor of your estate, of the estate. And lovingly so with the King of Cups, because the emotional, the spiritual aspect is the origins, right? And that is also the hardest part to, is like trying to breathe underwater in this realm. You know, so many different emotions being projected to you. Look, from established order, from intimate order, you know, this could be a father, this could be, you know, society, everything that presents itself to have an affinity for you and to be good for, you know, to nourish you. Consider the spirit of water being something that none of us can live without. That's the projection here, you know, to make you feel like your back's up against the wall, that you have to pretty much accept what you're being offered. And this is all masculine energy, get into that. But what's under here? But yet again, the devil. I saw the words peeking out. The devil. Using anything and everything it can to create illusions and diversions from you just relying on you as a sovereign spirit and a sovereign force. This is also the masculine energy of, you know, the counterpart of the Empress that's willing to go against the system, willing to accept their spiritual superiority above what's being projected, above the illusions, again, beyond the illusions, I should say, actually. What's this? No heart, no, to detach from the concept of materialism, feeling like only what is available that in a tangible sense is what matters. That's this energy here. To be conservative, yes, but not to be obsessive, or I don't even know what to call it. There's just a difference between being conservative with your energy and being like held in contempt of it in some regard. And that's the outcome of the lower vibration. Self-sabotage. And that's what the adverse energy ultimately wants you to do, to self-sabotage yourself, disconnect from your truth, forfeit your inheritance in this life and any previous possibilities by way of making poor decisions unfounded in truth, or founded in illusions, I should say, even better. And what's this? Is this the King of Pentacles here? Oh, that's the Magician. Yeah, that's manipulation of energy, but also you, keeping you from operating in the fullest capacity of, what did I say earlier? Your manifestation power. It's for you to defer it to some other source and force to ultimately create life for you. And it happens so subtly, so covertly, from impressions and projections and manipulating your environment and projecting illusions and inciting confusion and unworthiness and doubt and fear and all that energy mixed up, to delay this deliverance. Literally the deliverance of you as the most valuable source of life force there is, especially as far as you are concerned, because can nobody do what you've been ordained to do, whether it be just for you or for your generations past. There's nobody else that can carry it out the way that you do. And it's been trying to get through for a long time, and now it's finally here. It can't be withheld anymore. Do I even want any more, to be honest? Let's take like one more. This is like the fewest cards that I've ever done. Yeah, this is rejection. Oh yeah, okay, and this is justice. Because this is people that have been waiting for their ships to come in on what they felt entitled to receive. But justice is like, it's like, no, you're not the beneficiary on these documents. You're not the next of kin. You're not who this inheritance was assigned to. And it's because they rejected themselves, that cup of spirit, that nourishment that I talked about already, to take that chance in a more unconventional sense. All these cups are the same, but to drink of this cup was a huge risk. You didn't know. It's like, I've never taken psychedelics, but it's like, from what I understand, you don't really know what type of trip you're gonna have. You could consume that energy and have the most mind-opening experience of your life, most enlightening experience, and you could also take it and have like a hell on earth type of experience, like you can't really escape it. Once you're in it, you kind of have to let it carry itself out. And some people weren't willing to see that through for fear that they might have a bad trip. They rather go with what they could actually control, is what I'm saying. Like, what they could see these three cups for what they were. It wasn't anything mystical about the three cups here. And the three cups is more or less like celebration, but it can, in the lower vibration, be like debauchery even. So it's like somebody that rather be an alcoholic than take the trip to see that spiritual trip, maybe even drink some holy water for fear that they might be purified to the point of no return and not be able to control, their experiences in life anymore, to something that's more grounded. Like, consider, like, you take a psychedelic or something amongst people or in an environment that's not secured, and you could start kirking out, I'm imagining, so around people that you may or may not be able to trust. It's like this supreme distrust of life. But that was the challenge, though, because just like that Two of Swords energy, you had to be able to trust what you couldn't see and what you couldn't control, that intel from intangible spaces. That was the challenge. If you couldn't do that, if you couldn't trust it couldn't trust you ultimately. So this is like the energy of someone that's like, I ain't drinking that, I don't know, spiritual. Then I might start looking weird, and everybody else is looking like, regular with these three cups. I want to look like them. I don't want to be doing things that nobody understands. I don't want to be saying super spiritual stuff. I don't want to stick out like a sore thumb. That it doesn't feel good, especially fresh on the scene. It doesn't when you first take that step into a spiritual awakening or into some spiritual awareness of yourself, not just the carnal awareness of self and surroundings, but something more than that. It's like, you don't want to take that trip because you don't really know where it leads. You definitely can't control it. That's a fact. You can't control it. You have to go with the flow. Every pun intended. So those that didn't want to go with the flow ultimately stuck with the rivers and the lakes that they were used to. They didn't want to chase no waterfalls. We know the premise of that video. You can think back to that. Shout out to TLC. Left Eye in particular, they weren't open to the possibility of, consider Left Eye. They didn't want to have a third eye. That's an alien. I don't want to have a third eye. Humans have two eyes. You know what I mean? It's like wanting to be so normal and so I don't even know how to say it. Like just not wanting to stick out for that fear. We know, like I said about the past and even in the present, that being different ain't never been easy. In any dimension, in any realm of reality, in any generation, there always comes some resistance with that, because that's how the adverse energy sets this realm up. Those that are destined for that that fate up for failure, by making you feel like you have everything to lose by just being yourself. So in fact, when you give in and you drink that Kool-Aid and feel like you have everything to lose, you ultimately do lose. You do lose. You lose a part of yourself, and you lose the best part of yourself that puts you in a position to gain the whole of yourself in the end. So that's the justice. I'm not even pulling that out because, like, for what, for why? Like, this isn't everybody's energy. It may be a large majority because, as I said, many were called, but few. This is somebody refusing the call right here. That's what that, I guess we could put them down here, whatever. It don't even matter, but I don't even want to taint the energy, This is somebody refusing the call, and justice is served accordingly. Like, it's all fair game, like I said, it's like, okay, the worst case scenario for someone that said, well, I don't want to break chains for the lineage. Well, then you would have just gotten what was due to you. It may not have been as exuberant of a harvest, but it would have been fair, to just still moving in integrity, honesty, just doing what you could for yourself, going to work every day, working in the confines of convention, still would have gained you some success and some harvest, more or less, and stability. It just would have kept, there would have been a ceiling there. I'm speaking figuratively. Consider someone that's like, I'm just going to do what is safe. That's the best way to say it. There would have been no obstruction to justice, spiritual or otherwise, for that, but you just would get what you give. So if you're not willing to take certain risks on your own creative consciousness, then you're just going to get the return of what you're willing to invest. And that's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with working hard every day, taking care of your family, living an upright life, living a pretty predictable experience. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the energies of those that went against that created tower moments for themselves and for others, that because they felt an entitlement to the inheritance that they weren't willing to work for. You weren't willing to take risks. You weren't willing to do anything different than what you've always been told to do. You weren't willing to see life in any expansive way beyond what is visible. You weren't willing to be led into spaces and places that were unpredictable, perhaps even dangerous in some regard, in order to reclaim lost resources for ancestors past. You weren't willing to jump out on that limb. Those that were willing to do that, to take that, to go on that extra adventure, it's only fair that they receive an extra benefit. That it's nothing unjust going on in this realm. It's only according to what you were willing to sow as to what you shall harvest, period. It's when people think that they can use unjustifiable means to gain what they didn't harvest, what they didn't work for. That's what causes the resistance in the spirit, for you to be held in contempt and not only lose out on what would have been destined to you, just you living your normal life. But now you lose that, and you have no claim to anything more. Because now you gotta, in order for you to even get to the exuberance of a life experience, you gotta reconcile with how you desecrated the life that you were given. You know, it's like back to what I was saying. Like, it's somebody going to prison doing their life sentence, but whole time they in there, you know, wrecking shop. You can still get multiple charges being in prison. It don't stop there. You can get time added on, or just mucking up their experience, or even in a different sense, you're put away. Whereas some people make the best of their time. They expand their mind. They go deeper into their spiritual or religious consciousness. They even enhance their body, their physique. You know, they read a lot of books. They get educated, take up a trade, do something with their time while they're in there with their life sentence. This is somebody that only really had to do their life sentence, but not only were they in there just not doing much at all with themselves, either being lazy altogether or doing the most in the adverse effect to actually make the time worse for themselves and others in their surrounding environment, and also not willing. I mean, you just mucked up your own time, so you didn't even have a chance to redeem the time of those other life sentences that are still sitting on the shelf. It's still available for you to redeem that time, but you couldn't even do your time justifiably, you know, fairly, honorably. So it's like, now you mad when you come out into the world and either your time got extended because you was effing up in there, or you come out with no skill, no enhancement, don't know how to get acclimated into society because you've been away for so long and things have changed, and you just want to go back to doing what you used to do because that was comfortable. You know how to hustle, you know how to do whatever it was that got you in there in the first place. It's like nothing was enhanced in the time that you were given. It's like the story of the talents. Given a certain time is also what the talents represent: time, energy, talents, gifts, whatever it is, that whatever your lot was given, whatever it was given to you naturally, is like one that did nothing with it and one that did everything with it, and everything in between, that range. You know, that one and it expanded what they had, and one that just buried it in the dirt and left it for dead. Everybody got back what they deserved in the end of that story. You know, it's the same with the life experience that we have here today. We have a myriad of choices, opportunities to react and respond accordingly, just within our own responsibility and accountability. And then if you want to do a little extra, get a little extra credit, go an extra mile, you have that that invitation as well. Now, just all the same, you know, you have to be responsible with how you carry it out. You don't get to take on that extra time and then F it up too and think that, oh, well, that wasn't mine anyway, so it's all good. No, you're responsible for whatever you connect yourself to, which is why it's best that you do deal with yourself first and foremost, and that usually the spirit wants to see how you deal with your own energy first before it even adds any extra credit to your, you know, to your itinerary in any way. And these are people that in this regard that have not just been able to just be happy with the life that they were given. They had to find some way to just ruin it for others in some regard, for resentment of what they were unwilling to gain for themselves. They get the ultimate judgment, and it'll be justified. It will, but they get the ultimate judgment while other people are moving into their their promised land, moving into new beginnings. What's at the bottom here? They're still going to be holding on to times past, and we already know that that's illusionary. So it's like they'll be stuck in this world where nothing matters but material gain, holding on to whatever it is that they have left. And that depreciating by the minute, as it does, because as time changes, so does material. And the dollar ain't worth nearly what it was worth now 30 years ago. Just within one generation, it's changed drastically. So this is someone that's stuck in a time warp because they refuse to go with the flow and to evolve with the spiritual ordinance as it was more or less ordained for them to do so. Yeah, defending themselves and still feeling entitled to something that they did not work for. You did not put in the work for this. So all that you get is what you've been holding on to, what you've justifiably harvested, and you better hope that that sustains you through your life experience, or, at this point, because this is not a mentality in this regard that's in a position to multiply their harvest. They're too fixated on what they have and measuring themselves according to it. And the days of being an expectation to pretty much fence someone else's blessing are so far gone now. That's also the mentality being held on here, like, well, if I can't get it, then I'll just take what's around me, or I'll just take theirs or his or hers. I'll get it one way or another. But that you can't do that anymore. You cannot do that anymore. You have to plow your own field at this point. You can't go steal from the Joneses anymore. Nope, not happening. So that's that. I don't even know how to close it, but for those that are operating in the most upright energy of truth here, expect the harvest. You are the harvest, as a matter of fact. Like, you are the harvest of your ancestors' hopes and dreams and wishes and prayers. It's you. You are what they prayed for, and ultimately you are the one that you've been waiting on. Some may still be thinking that there's something yet to be desired, when it's you. You are the thing. You are the one. And if it had not been for you being a yes to this mission of life, a great deal of gifts, and it's like a great harvest would have just been torched, never to be reclaimed again, and for that land never to really grow again. There's something about this time frame that we're in right now where it was like a last ditch effort for the adverse energy to impose its agenda, and for a divine energy to establish itself, to establish its sovereignty, its rule, its position of power in the 3D form, not just from the 5D and up, like for it to be materialized here, for someone to be willing to carry that sort of truth and to implement it, to wield it, to operate in the fullest capacity of it, to be sovereign in spirit and in truth and in flesh. There wasn't going to be much of an opportunity because the stakes is too much tension now between those two polarities, that the darker forces were gaining way too much momentum and quantity and power, that if there wasn't almost like a draft of the divine force and in an aggressive way, like for people to awaken to their true power, it was only a matter of time before it just would have been completely extinguished, like overtaken. Because in truth, the dark force has the quantity, they have the numbers, but the quality of the power from the divine is undefeated and unmatched. And it's been waiting to express itself in a natural form. It just was looking for the right recruits. And you were the right recruit. You were the supreme source and force that your lineage trained and prepared for battle and ultimately to win the war over your own spirit and over your own soul. You know, the champion your own victory is what has won it for the whole, past, present, and future. You didn't even know how great of an undertaking you had signed up for. You didn't even know what you were being drafted for, truly. You know, you thought you was just in the reserves. Little did you know, you was a special armed force, special ops, Marine Corps, whatever the most powerful essence of the armed forces are. I don't even know. I hear Marine, I know special ops, I know, all those types of, like, you were a special force for your lineage. And you didn't even know you were fighting most of the time. That's the best part about it. You was just holding them swords, two of swords straight up to your chest, and doing all that you could to defend yourself from the illusions. And that was, in fact, your secret weapon all along. Hoorah! I'm pretty sure that's the Navy, but I don't know any other saying. So, salute is what I shall say. Salute to you. Job well done. You certainly earned all of the accolades, awards, and decorations of the divine that are being released unto you at this time in spirit and in truth. All right, so that's it. Have a wonderful Friday. Don't forget to check out the contest video, and please participate. It's fun. It's a free gift. Come on, don't let this gift go to waste. If you even watch the video, then all you gotta do is just type a little answer. You know what I mean? Who knows? You may be the only one or one of the few, and you win by default. So don't overthink it too much. Don't resist the urge to express yourself. It may be more of a blessing to you to perhaps discover or proclaim something of yourself that you didn't even know was true at this point. And the gift is just, a little sweetener in the deal. So hop on over to the video. I'll link it below. And remember that contest ends on Sunday at 12 a.m. So all through today, all through tomorrow, but 12 a.m. on Sunday is when I'm going to shut it down, and I will announce the winner by Sunday evening, sometime before 8 o'clock. All right. So until then, I definitely, as always, leave you with the most supreme source of love and power and protection and peace and prosperity and power and all things good that are due to you. I pray that you are fully in reception to receive them all. And until next time, I already said it, but it could never be said enough, right? Peace.